Good morning. I hope everybody can hear me. I'll give everybody a few minutes to get in here. I'm probably competing with some top tier spiders that are live. I'm probably just like fifth tier, fourth tier, real low. I'm waiting on Michelle to sell off the wheat fields. How are you, Channel Surfer? Hey, Maestro. Hope y'all are doing well this morning. I promise I won't do like Jody Sue and wait like 30 minutes before I say anything. Seems like I was right the other night about Jody Sue's countdown for sure, because legal proceedings did start in family court, but it seems like everybody was lied to. I don't see where, and neither does my person that was sitting in family court, see where Candace ever signed her rights away. It seems like we were all lied to about that. Hey Sky, long time no see. And for some reason, every time you leave a comment in my chat, or a comment on a video, it gets erased, and I don't know why. I'm working on that. I don't understand why it does that. It's like you're removing it right after you leave it. So I'm seeing your comments, but I'm not able to comment back to you. I don't understand. I've been in my settings and you're not blocked anywhere. You see that? I mean, I'm talking to you now, so we know that you're not blocked. So I am working on why your comments disappear as fast as you leave them. I do see them, though. I just can't comment back to you for some reason. Google what numbers to dial on your phone to get back control of your phone. I know A.F. Pennington done a live on how to regain control of your phone at one time. I've never had problems with the connections on my computer or my phone going live or on StreamYard or anything, but just as soon as I started to get ready to release this title, I started having trouble with my connections and stuff too. Well, I want everybody to prepare themselves for the possibility of those boys going back home with Don and Candace. I just hope that CPS puts the right safety nets in place, and I hope that they require them some kind of rehabilitation, and knowing that the CPS hearings have started, that it kind of makes sense why the judge ruled Don's the way that he did, because if those kids are to return home, they have to have a support system. Somebody has to be working. Somebody has to be bringing money in to put food on the table. If he's sitting in jail, he can't do anything for his family. But that is not exactly what this live is about. Is not Don and Candace and the boys. But it is about some of the corruption and some of the ties that are in Hawkins County. And I have been watching this for a while. And I have been sitting on this piece of information since the doctor, some of it since the Dr. Phil show, but the rest of it tied into play when I went to Hawkins County for Summer's Vigil. We had been up and down the roads. Well, let me back up a little bit. Before the vigil, a week or two, well, it was about a week leading up to it, somebody had said something about Don Sharfie's property on Reservoir Road. And the look on Jody Sue's face was priceless. It took her 10 minutes to close her mouth after she found out that Don Sharfie's abandoned property over on Reservoir Road had been found. I swear to God, the flies were flying out of her mouth when that property was mentioned. So that was one of the places that I wanted to go and put eyes on when I was in Hawkins County. Or let me say that area, because that area splits Sullivan County and Hawkins County. Well, I did lay eyes on that property. But I also seen another property that grabbed my attention even more. Grabbed my attention even more than the Sharfie property. And I had the woman there was 3 of us, 4 of us. I had her turn around and go back and stop at that property so I could put my hands and feet on that ground and just feel the earth. Well, I started taking photographs of that building. And one of the girls that was with me said, "Val, there is cameras all over this abandoned building." Interesting. So we get back in the truck and we leave. But before we leave, all of us pinpoint on the map where this building is at. We all drop pinpoints for the address, right? And we leave. And we leave town. All going back to our prospective homes. Alabama, Mississippi, Texas, wherever. And before we all got back home and had time to pull these addresses up on Google Maps, It wasn't just my pen that disappeared. It wasn't just another girl's pen that disappeared. It was everybody that had dropped pins on the Google map. Our pins were gone. When you get on Google Street Maps, there is no actual address for this building. You do not see it on Google Street View. It's like the building is not there. Even more interesting. So let me back up a little bit further. And we're going to back all the way up to the Dr. Phil show. When the words cornbread MaPHia come out of Scott's mouth, everybody and their brother started pulling up cornbread MaPHia. A lot of people assumed that it was the old Dixie MaPHia. Well, no, because most of them are dead and gone now. And it just did not fit those of us that's been around a long time that even knew some of the players in that game. It just didn't fit. So we all started looking into known gang activity in that area and who the players were. You have got vice lords that are being pulled over and wrecking their vehicles coming out of Ben Hill and Beach Creek. Hang on just a second. People of color in that area that has got charges on them for human trafficking that belong to these vice lords. That is being put in jail for trafficking heroin in the Beach Creek area. Trafficking humans in the Beach Creek area. And that was all very interesting. But it just wasn't interesting enough. Jonathan Lee Rich's Bullhorn Betty in Chronicles of Olivia. I believe Molly Golightly may have been with him at this time too. They done a interview with Dudley Ajan. And Dudley Ajan made a statement that there was a Jose around that property in the days leading up to Summer disappearing. And everybody assumed that it was Jose Roman. That Jose just got out of jail and that he was the one that was staying up there. Well, I'm about to offer you up a different scenario involving a Jose. I may be way off base, but I'm going to offer it up anyway. Because LE in that area is so crooked We have Christine and Chris Mock that work for the Hawkins County Sheriff's Department. And that is the daughter of Mary Sexton. We have a couple in the Hawkins County Sheriff's Department, or that has worked for the Hawkins County Sheriff's Department in Sullivan County, that is involved with Child P, or has recently got busted trying to have relations with a 4-year-old child. So we know that the police departments around there are dirty. We've got Randy Hass that is just rolling in mud dirty. So I run across, and I done a very brief video on this back last November, of a small-time syndicate in Hawkins County that went by the Chicken Head MaPHia. And everybody laughed at it. And we got nothing but smiley face laughs on this video because, I mean, the name is hilarious. Anybody that has known anything about the meth game for years knows that the term chicken head is a derogatory name for a woman that gives her body freely for meth. So, there, according to the news and the newspaper, at first glance, it only looks like about 4 people went to jail in this Chicken Head MaPHia. But if you dig really deep, this little MaPHia gang went all the way across the Cummings, Georgia line. And all the way across Tennessee back up into Hawkins County. Now the scary part about this is 2 of them had connections to a motorcycle gang. And the name of this local motorcycle gang is the Copperheads. The Copperheads, the only way that you can get in is to be current or retired law enforcement, criminal justice, paramedics, EMTs. You have to be retired firefighters. You have to be something in that game, retired military. But it is just it's only a motorcycle group for retired LE. And that's what makes this little Chicken Head MaPHia so scary. One of them lived right there in Morristown. One of them got busted in Greenville. One of them got busted in Georgia. Now I'm gonna sit here and I can pull up the exact amounts that they got busted with. But one of them was sentenced to like 20 years. Well, let me back up a minute. After his arrest, his son jumps in and takes over this little MaPHia gang and takes his daddy's place and tries to continue selling drugs. Well, they bust him too. Well, the one that I suspect was the highest on the chain, that was retired Ellie, he cuts a deal and he sets up a bunch of the rest of them to get busted, of course. And all this bust turns into federal. All the federal agencies was involved, and a couple of the local agencies. But the one agency that was not involved was the Hawkins County Sheriff's Department, or the Sullivan County Sheriff's Department. The local sheriff's departments were not invited in to help take these guys down. And I'm assuming they were not invited in because they were investigating on the inside. So when I hear that they are setting up like Website X and Homeland Security is looking into these local sheriff's departments and setting up people within the sheriff's departments, I suspect that this has been going on a long, long time. But when I pull up this guy who went by the name Jose, and I try to run him through the local prison, he comes back inactive, like he is not in the prison, even though he was given a 20-year sentence. So he's out there like Jody Sue is. So I hand you yet another theory, that there was another Jose, that there was a different Jose. And there may have been money owed to a group of guys that was similar to an Irish mob, mafia type group of people. And that is why we are not seeing justice being served up on a silver platter, is because there is so many of their own involved once again. Something that stuck with me the whole time I have been looking into this, and as you can tell, this is months worth of research, is Cam saying, I was followed out of there by a bunch of motorcycles. You see in play, as soon as Andrew Hiltz got word that Hunter may be involved, he contacted bikers to swoop down in there and try to grab Hunter and take him back to New York. So you're telling me that somebody like Andrew Hiltz has got those kind of connections on speed dial? Oh, and by the way, that guy, Dugan, is involved with human aid trafficking. Just to let you know. And if you're not privy on what human aid trafficking is, they hide kids from CPS and traffic them across the country. Or they will take kids for non-custodial parents for certain amounts of money and forge paperwork. While some people may feel that they do some good, we have laws in place in this country for a reason. There was a reason why the judge would not let him take Hunter out of Kingsport. But back to my point, are you telling me that somebody like Andrew Hiltz had these bikers on speed dial? He knew them well enough that within a couple of hours that he had them swooping down in here? To grab his son? Oh, and by the way, you hear, Chris McDonough say that somebody's parole officer had to be seen that day. And we now know that it was Hunter's probation officer. I'm sorry, there is a difference in parole and probation. But yet, Hunter felt comfortable enough to be smoking dabs, smoking weed, and drinking on the same day that he had to see his probation officer. Mr. Probation Officer, if your clients feel comfortable enough to smoke weed and to be drinking alcohol before they come and see you, you're not doing your job, sir. And it's never been mentioned whether or not Candace took him to see his probation officer that day. And if so, for how long was Summer in that truck? Adults have to accompany these minors into the probation office. Oh, I know they do here. So if she accompanied Hunter in to see the probation officer, where was Summer? Has anybody checked with the probation office to see if Hunter did check in with his PO that day, and if Candace was with him, and if anybody happened to see Summer that day, or was she left in the vehicle for an hour in long sleeves with the windows rolled up? I have many ties to Indiana that can be shown. But this Copperhead motorcycle gang, they're set up in several states. But they're really big in Hawkins County. But here's the biggest kicker. They also have a syndicate in Gloversville, New York. Give me just a second, and I'll throw you out some names. On the meth that this chicken head mafia was putting out, even on the bags, would say CHM on the little baggies, and that way people would know who it come from because it was so much better than everybody else's. A key member of the Hawkins County-based Chicken Head Mafia meth trafficking syndicate had his wings clipped Thursday by U.S. District Judge R. Leon Jordan, who sentenced him to 20 years in a federal penitentiary. Stephen Dwight Rabbit Hawkins, 46, of Mooresburg, reportedly admitted to federal authorities he had been cooking meth since 2000 and that he was responsible for at least 1.5 kilograms of meth, around $150,000 in street value, but less than 4.5 kilograms, $450,000 in street value. Hopkins' 20-year sentence is the result of an ongoing federal investigation targeting him and other members of the Chicken Head Mafia. According to a press release issued Friday by U.S. Attorney Nancy Stallard Hare, August of 2014, Hopkins was arrested following a traffic stop in Whitley County, Georgia, while on his way to obtain a quarter pound of meth as a representative of the group. According to sources in law enforcement, the self-named Chicken Head Mafia consisted of a group involved in trafficking meth and other narcotics, mainly in Hamlin and Hawkins County. According to police, a slang term for newly cooked powder meth is chicken feed. Police said the group gave itself the name as an inside joke. Haha, that's funny. Hopkins and other members of the Chicken Head Mafia reportedly looked out and protected one another during their meth trafficking conspiracy. Hopkins, a member of the Copperhead Motorcycle Club, admitted that he obtained 8 to 10 ounces of meth per week from co-defendant Rick Muncie, 48. Muncie is listed as a resident of Del Rio, Tennessee, but police say he spent most of his time in Mooresburg. Authorities said Hopkins admitted to selling meth to a large customer base in and around Hamlin and Hawkins County. Law enforcement agencies participating in the investigation included the FBI, Hamlin County Sheriff's Department, Morris Police Department, 3rd and 4th District Judicial Drug Task Forces. Assistant U.S. Attorney Wayne Taylor represented the United States. And remember, the only way you can get into this Copperhead Motorcycle Club is if you are a retired LE, a retired firefighter, retired EMT, retired something of the criminal justice system. So we wonder why we cannot get justice for a missing 5-year-old girl. Please take a minute to like this video to get it into the algorithm. Also, if you're not a member, think about joining. It's 99 cents. It's less than a cup of coffee. And it helps this channel to build so we can get things that help with my research, so I can continue finding things like this. One of the articles that I need now is actually behind a paywall, but I'm doing my best to get around it. Another member of the Chicken Head MaPHia is heading to prison for conspiracy to distribute methamphetamine. Joel Hosea Beasley, 37, was sentenced to 25 years in the federal penitentiary. Hang on. For methamphetamine conspiracy and firearm charges. The United States Department of Justice said Joel Jose Beasley sold methamphetamines to a person cooperating with law enforcement 5 times between February 2015 and June 2015. In June 2015, United States Attorney Nancy Stollard Hare said, hang on just a second, my daughter's calling, said a search warrant was issued at Joel Beasley's residence in Morristown. Investigators found over an ounce of methamphetamine and multiple firearms. However, even after the methamphetamines was found at his residence, Hare said he continued to sell drugs. In the same month, Hare said Joel Beasley sold methamphetamines to another person working on behalf of law enforcement. During the transaction, she said he admitted to selling 6 ounces of methamphetamines the previous day. Also in September, Joel Beasley wrecked his motorcycle in Morristown. At the time of the wreck, Hare said Beasley was carrying 55 grams of methamphetamine, 11.6 grams of mushrooms, and a firearm. She said he tossed the drugs in bushes to hide from law enforcement responding to the crash and told his wife, Dorinda Beasley, a co-defendant, to hide his firearm. In recorded conversations from jail, Hare said Joel Beasley told his wife to collect debts from people who owed him money for drugs. After his arrest, prosecutors said his son, John Beasley, 19, attempted to take his father's place selling drugs. John Beasley was previously sentenced to 78 months in prison. Joel Beasley isn't the first member of the Chicken Head MaPHia who was convicted for methamphetamines. Hawkins and Beasley also belonged to the Copperhead Motorcycle Club. Now, Andy told Piper, CSI, that there was a Irish type mafia around there. These type people fit that description. And where you've got retired LE You have got active Ellie, and you have got active Ellie that is going to cover for the retired Ellie. And it's all about the money. Trafficking is about nothing but the dollar signs. I put up a couple of videos about one of them was about that biker that was in Rogersville, and him and Jody Sue, and that biker was from Indiana, speaking the exact same sentences a year apart. Everything that he said sitting there at that Black Lives Matter protest, she was sitting there spewing the exact same thing out of her mouth, almost verbatim. On one of her lives. In Summer's case. And then here he has a big spider tattoo on the side of his arm. And she's screaming about spiders and tears and all this crazy mess. No, he never gave his name. But you've got these people it's a mess. It's a mess. And I want to talk about one other thing. And I really should separate these lives because I've got so many topics going here. I guess oh, thank you for becoming a member, Flame Lily. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I guess I really should separate the lives. But I have found another connection there in not just Beach Creek, but on Ben Hill, back to Salt Lake City, Utah. But all these people linked together. I was going back in some screenshots last night on my phone, and there were some screenshots that I took when I was running Don's background back October of last year. It may have been before that. But there was 2 Vaughns that was coming up in his background check then. But yeah, I most definitely probably, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to separate these lives so I don't have so many topics running together. Because I have got so much information. And I don't want the topics running together. But two of these main guys that was, and there was a bunch of them busted, but two of these main guys, they're not in prison. And that was just in 2017 when they were sentenced. And I've always been told that federal time, you do day for day, that there is no good time. Well, Miss Hattie, if somebody does not speak out about these people, they're going to keep doing what they do. Yeah, I watched Cam last night. How are you, Tama? Well, that's what this guy goes by Jose. He does not go by, his first name. That is his nickname, is Jose, and that's what he goes by. That's his street name. All his street cred is under Jose. Well, like I said, this Copperhead Motorcycle Club has one in Gloversville, New York, too. Now, I believe in some coincidences, but this is just getting ridiculous. Right, guys? There's 80 watching and only 41 likes. Y'all, come on, please. I do love my lurkers, but I take a lot of time researching this stuff to bring y'all material that's never been heard before. I take time to bring things that is worthy of hearing. That are connections. And these law enforcement connections need to come out. No matter what the cost, they need to come out. And I can understand the locals not wanting to say anything. And when you've got people like Andy Bernard growing crops of marijuana, you have to question, when those crops come to harvest, who is he selling them to? He's not dime bagging out a whole harvest. He's wanting to sell that stuff in big quantities and get it out of there. Somebody else is dime bagging it out. Oh, thank you, Cat's Eye, for the super sticker. I so much appreciate that. And you wonder why they're not being pulled into the police stations for being questioned in any of this. And you wonder why they've got protection from local law enforcement. Well, here you go. And you know, back when the chicken head MaPHia had all these pounds and kilos and everything running through Hawkins County, and it was supposed to be the best around there, to the point where they were even putting their trademark on the bags, their CHM on the bags of meth. And then you hear Jody Sue talking about how Andy was just finding bags laying around. And how he was bringing in 365 grams at a time. Well, it kind of all fits together now, doesn't it? And why he was getting away with bringing in all these grams and nobody ever touches him. Why nobody ever touches Jody Sue. Oh, thank you, Tama. I so much appreciate that. Jazz, welcome to the family. Tama, I will definitely put that towards a subscription. I appreciate that. But it's things like this that keeps people like them from getting touched. It's people like this is the reason why those boys will end up back at home with Don and Candace. And whoever started that rumor that she signed her rights away, shame on you. Because it was started so we would all put our guards down. I just hope that while she was gone off of YouTube, that she was actually in rehab getting herself some help. Because we know Dawn didn't. And it's very much looking like those boys may very well go back home. And I'm going to tell you, you know, everybody told me, oh, well, that land you found, that's not really Wells' land. Well, it says plainly on the deed, Wells Revocable Trust, Land Trust. They will be somewhere else, not on 110 Ben Hill. I guarantee you that land will be handed to the person who handed them that new piece of property. Well, Crimes and Consequences, it is looking like they might. But it's because of this good old boy system that they have running down there on drugs. And do you not think that the current sheriff does not know about all these retired LEs running this drug syndicate down there? Sure he does. Sure he does. Why do you think he says, oh, well, there's not a drug problem there? When I read that article to you, you seen Hawkins County Sheriff's Department was not involved with that bust. The feds left them completely out of it. Same with Sullivan County. Same with Washington County. They left the county sheriffs out of it. And there was a reason for that. While Ronnie is saying, oh, we don't have a drug problem down there. Well, yeah, sir, you do. And they've trademarked them a name. And the names are even on the bags of meth. And do you not think, I mean, this is just in my opinion and allegedly, but do you not think that current LE is getting a kickback off of all the profits when you've got retired LE running these crime syndicates? They're not going to be at that house. Crime has consequences. Right. And Smiley, at the end of the day, Summer's still missing. Where is Summer? Tama, go back and watch my video that I done months and months and months ago where I found that house and property in Washington County under the Wells Revocable Land Trust. I have no way of proving that that is 100% them until somebody goes and puts eyes on her at that address. I have been told that whoever bought that piece of property, it goes back to somebody in South Carolina or North Carolina. Well, crimes have consequences. Somebody said back in the beginning of this case that Don Wells was a federal informant. I don't know if there was ever any truth to that or not. I never seen any proof of that, or if that was just a rumor. Crime Time, I don't know what's up with Don's father either, but I think that he has got some land and stuff that Don was wanting. Hey Cher, how are you? Yeah, it's worth going back to the beginning and watching it because this has been a very informative live. A lot of connections. Cher, do you know if there was ever any truth to the rumor of Don Wells being a federal informant? Here, Cher, I'm going to drop my email down here and just email me and we will get together on this. So yeah, I definitely believe that there was a Jose there, but not Jose Roman. Cher said, when I asked him, he laughed a very evil laugh. Didn't deny it at first, but then he said, oh, come on, that's all made up BS. He said, LOL, but his reaction confirmed it for me. Well, there's something going on because these people can get out of boatloads of trouble. I've never seen anything like what's going on around this case. I mean, this is just one big circus. Right after Summer got gone, and he was questioning, drug dealers. There was a lot of bust that happened around the people that he was questioning and asking about. When he went to jail, I was like, oh my goodness, that's why they're keeping him separated from everybody, is because right after Summer disappeared, there was a lot of folks that went to jail. But that's what they do, is when they get in trouble in one state, they pick up and they go to another. And you really cannot trace Don Wells Sr.'s ancestry back. I mean, you just kind of dead end with it. But this time with Summer coming up missing, it's not going to be so easy for them just to pick up and disappear. And even if those boys do go back home, there's going to be a safety net in place for at least 6 months to a year. Or they're supposed to be. When they return children back to parents, they're supposed to stay involved. The parents are supposed to do random drug screens. There's supposed to be home checks going on. There's supposed to be a lot of things other than just kids going back home and they return to the same issues. But my friend that was in family court, that had family court day before yesterday or yesterday, whatever it was, she said that it did not sound like to her that Candace had even signed over her rights. That was all just made up. But with there being a gag order, I don't know how much I can say on YouTube. And I don't want to get her in trouble, for saying anything outside of the courtroom. Well, crimes and consequences, I need to do a different live and separate the topics because I have found one more landowner out there that has Utah connections. And Idaho connections. And I hate to run so many topics in one live. Jody Sue and Andy. Jody Sue, I put out. Jody Sue has many aliases. Andy does too. But they also, if y'all will just go and look, they have land in other places. They have addresses in other states. I don't know if it's owned land or if it's just rental property or what. But I do know that they have had... You wait a minute. I hear you barking. I will take you out in just a minute. Sit down. Sit down. We'll go out in just a minute. You're a good girl. You are such a good girl. Yes, you are. I'll take you out in just a minute. Will you sit down? Let me finish this live. Will you let me finish this live and then we'll go out and take care of your business. Alright guys, I'm going to jump off of here. This has been definitely a good live. I need to take my doggy out and let her... She has to come first. She's old. And I can't really expect her to hold her business like a young dog. So I will set up another live here in just a little bit and we will look at some other things that I have found around. Y'all please hit that like button and get this over into the algorithm. Share the live, and like I said, if y'all are not channel members, it's only 99 cents a month. It's cheaper than a cup of coffee. And I do appreciate my new members and the super stickers that I got today. I appreciate you guys, and I will definitely put it towards some subscriptions for research. Alright, y'all have a beautiful day, and I love you guys. We're going. Let me